Welcome to the Reality Revolution. It's always fun to read the words of Quo, and on this beautiful day, I want to read a couple channelings that are dedicated to the concept of the power of gratitude. Gratitude may seem like an ambiguous subject and can contain a lot of meanings, yet at the same time appears to contain significant metaphysical power when it's discussed by people like Joseph Murphy. And in the movie The Secret, they talk about gratitude being a key component in attracting the reality that you want. Is there power behind gratitude? And what does it mean in a spiritual or metaphysical sense? This is addressed by Quo in a couple of these channelings. We begin with a channeling delivered on April 19th, 1998. Our question this week concerns the concept of gratitude. How does gratitude work in the spiritual or metaphysical sense? It is said that it is a powerful force to have in the heart, just to be alive, to be breathing, and to serve the Creator. How does gratitude affect our spiritual growth, even in the worst of situations? Carla channeling. We are those of the principle known to you as Quo. We greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We bless and thank each of you for all that you have done to come to this circle of seeking at this time, for all that you have sacrificed and the choices that you have made that have brought you as seekers of truth, to sit together and open your hearts to each other, to the universe, whose citizens that you are, and to those thoughts of ours that might have use for you. You have truly given us a great blessing and a great gift. We hope that those thoughts that we share with you shall be helpful to you. If any thought does not please you, we simply ask that you release it and forget it. For we do not have authority, but rather are as you, pilgrims, sharing that which we have come to feel is our truth, hoping that it might be a resource for you as well. As always, we encourage your careful discrimination in listening to any and all opinions, for there is no authority as great as that which rests within you, and which knows what is yours. You ask this day about gratitude, thankfulness. We realize that this is peculiarly difficult to come to in any situation, for within the illusion that you experience as your incarnation, the atmosphere is not full of clarity and illumination, but rather often full of confusion and negative seeming emotion. The heart within desires to experience only a greater and greater amount of solitude, peacefulness, and beauty. But that which the world seems to offer is crowded with many different people with many different opinions, and certainly seems far from peaceful as the timbers and rafters of your own personal mental interior shake and stagger under the many confusions that reign and that shall always hold sway over the incarnation, over the experience throughout the incarnation. For truly, as we often say, no one who takes incarnation upon a third density planet is hoping for a clear and peaceful existence, but rather is hoping to be utterly confused and yet to remember somehow those truths which can only be known by faith, which can only be remembered by faith, which can only yield hope, praise, and gratitude within the transformed heart. It is that transformation of experience that each hopes for again and again within the incarnational experience. And as each of you looks back over patterns that have been completed in the past, each may see the working out of seemingly insurmountable confusion in ways that were unexpected and yet elegant, difficult, and beautiful, such as the bittersweet quality of realization amidst the sea of confusion that is consensus reality within your earth world. What is the spirit that it should be mindful of such things as praise and thanksgiving? It is at this very basic level that so many among your peoples cannot grapple with the issue of life itself. What is the spirit within that it must take flesh and be thrust into a world of sensation that overstimulates with glorious disarray and confusion? The spirit, from the instant that it awakens into the earth plane until that moment when the last breath leaves the body, what is this entity that it should feel anything positive or negative? It is in facing this question of identity that the search for true thankfulness must begin. For here, just upon that spot where the slide is under the microscope, there are at first glimpses of light of that which changes. We get the first scent of the dangers and the glories of this ephemeral and all too short process of incarnation. Each of you begins with that spark of light that is your essence and your core. It is in no way different from or lesser than the Creator itself, for it, as all things, is infinite. The clay from which you have been formed expresses that love, but is not that love. There is no thing about each of you that one can pick up and say, this is the essence of this person. No. The essence of you is much closer to you than your body, is much more a part of you than your breathing or your heartbeat or the rush of blood through your veins. You are love. It is this identity that is the only explanation for praise and thanksgiving, for positive or negative expression of any kind. When one can realize, even momentarily, the deep identity within, that congruency with the Logos itself, the seeker then has his feet on solid ground and may say to the self, and in response to the world, however it comes to him, I am love. I am in a state of utter confusion, but I am love. This is my nature. I take this on faith. When one can begin with this much confidence, then one is able to move into that attitude, which this instrument would call the positive path, or the path of service to others. If one thinks to oneself, I am responsible, I did these things, or these and these things have been done unto me, then one has become willing to begin, not from that place of love, but rather from a place where masks have been put on and a stage play is being acted. Once one has moved into that level of interaction and various responses to each other's catalyst that characterize relationships, one no longer has a quick or short route to that positive place of rest within, which knows, I am love. And the I am that is me is the I am that is you. Without this feeling of self as love, one simply begins to see oneself as positioned in such and such a way, and aiming to get positioned in such and such a way. Then the self has a story. This is not being created in rhythm and according to destiny's often slow pace, but rather, the self is creating the self with masks at a level which does not fill the heart. The conversation before this meditation several times touched upon the many ways in which that feeling of humble thankfulness comes to one as a blessing and a special visitation, much like the spring rain feeding the young plants. We encourage each of you to be willing, when thinking upon the subject of identity, to see the self as a deeply impersonal, a deeply true entity. For truly, each of you is that which is beyond personality. And if the spirit can rest in that most basic and profound identity, there stems from time and attention spent here a strength and a flexibility of emotional responses that is part of the rhythm of faith. We are often aware of the degree of suffering among your peoples. The sorrow of your peoples is great. The yearning for that which is remembered is great. There is a hunger for heavenly things, as this instrument would call it, a thirst for that meat and drink that feeds the soul. And yet in so many ways, the restless heart cannot find quiet enough to connect with that great heart of love itself, which is the source and ending of each and every spark of light within the infinite creation. When entities attempt to feel gratitude, they may well fail, for gratitude is not that which may be approached head-on with the most effectiveness, but rather a sense of thankfulness or gratitude comes as a natural efflux or emanation from the soul, which is willing to be still and allow the world to find its balance within the self. This is not something that is easily done by those within incarnation, for the living without faith is that which is taught and practiced by your culture, not here and there, but as a general rule. Young ones within your culture are taught to work, to give a good effort, to follow certain paths in order to further ambition. The soul is taught that worth is in what one does, and so each growing spirit faces the self, attempts to find that which will earn the money, attempts to prepare the self for doing this, and then spends the life following a certain career, profession, or job. And as one is wending one's way through the various obstacles that seem to pop up from day to day in the execution of these various professions and jobs and so forth, Any entity that is able to help or facilitate one or another of these ambitions is seen as someone to whom to be grateful, while those who are stumbling blocks seeming to be in the way between the self and the ambition are seen to be irritations and of negative help. When we or any attempt to speak upon spiritual things, we are often tempted to simply tell stories, for there is within stories that which words alone cannot express. And when dealing with gratitude, perhaps the story that this instrument is most familiar with is the story of the prodigal son. There are several different ways to look at this little story that was told by the teacher known to you as Jesus. In this story, the sons of a wealthy man have two different natures. The older son is the good son, and this son never thinks of anything but simply staying at home and working on the family estate. However, the younger son is impatient and ready to have fun, have a good time in his life, and so this younger son asks his father for his inheritance. He has decided that he wishes to go to the city and have a good time. The father is willing to give his young son his fair portion of his accumulated fortune that he has to offer, and so the prodigal son trots off to the big city and engages in various excesses of various kinds until he becomes penniless, homeless, and forlorn. Finally, the young man is reduced to living with the pigs, eating what is given to the pigs in order to stay alive. And it occurs to this prodigal son, I could go back to the country, back to my father's house. Of course, he wouldn't take me back, but I could be a slave and eat much better than this because my father treats his slaves much better than this. And so off he goes. But when the father sees him coming, he rejoices greatly and orders a great feast to be prepared. Now the older son is very jealous of this and says, "Gosh, Dad, I've been with you all the time. I've always been a good boy. I've done everything you wanted me to do. You never killed a fatted calf for me, and here you are having a huge party for my idiot brother who never did anything." The father says, "But don't you see? I thought I had no son, and now I do." Look at the gratitude in all these people. The father grateful because he has regained the son whom he loves. The prodigal son who is grateful simply to be accepted back as a slave, much less as a younger son. And look at the hard heart, the pain of the older brother who does not feel his father's love since he has never done anything wrong for which his father has had to forgive him. Each of you is a prodigal. Each of you has squandered precious things. Each of you greatly and humbly seeks to return to the house of the Father, to that place of love that is undefiled and pure. For in that state, gratitude is natural and flows effortlessly, and this is a great truth for each of you. You are loved deeply, that you are welcomed in spite of any and all failures, and that the Creator does give great thanks for you. Truly, it takes the movement of thought from the little self experienced in every day to that self that each knows is truer and deeper self. Gazing at life from the standpoint of the everyday self, there is hardly ever a completely trouble-free or worry-free experience. There is hardly ever a reason to feel completely or profoundly grateful. And yet if one can move back into that prodigal self that is coming home, you may see that all of experience is such that the only response is thankfulness and praise. Why is this gratitude so powerful? Simply because it is the truth. In truth, everything that occurs to you is a gift. Each situation delivers to you the sisters and brothers of experience, sister sorrow, brother pain. The list is different for each entity. Brother anger, sister depression. Each spirit will have its own guests that seem to be difficult indeed to be hospitable towards, and yet each of these guests comes with great gifts to give you. There is a natural rebellion against having to see things from such a deep perspective. The mind does not want to move to this level where it can be seen that all things are gifts. The mind wants to distinguish between things. The mind wants to make choices and stack everything in neat and orderly piles. This is that. This is the other. This is something else entirely. But that spark of true self within you is ever ready to spread and illuminate the spirit within the heart within. Each entity, each spirit that has taken flesh comes to the experience of incarnation with an agenda, with the hope of learning and the hope of service. It seems very simple before incarnation, this whole remembering of things through the veil. And it is not so simple, for the veil is surely there and surely appropriately thick and impenetrable. But for those who can live within the open heart, who can face the difficulties of the day, from that place of the open heart, there is the opportunity to see each day as part of a dance that is all too short, a dance of rhythm and grace, a dance of living and feeling and expressing the truth within. We hope for each of you the grace to see into that rhythmic and muscular pattern that is prepared for you to walk upon. May each of you have the courage to wait when it feels right, to wait, even though to this world this may make no sense. For if each of you can stay within the heart and can sense for the rhythmic delightfulness of things, that attitude of gratitude shall come easier and easier until finally you may experience whole days at a time for what they really are. One moment, one now, that is ever fresh, ever beautiful, and ever perfect. May you learn to express this faith by an increasing stubbornness in holding to that attitude that has its source in the spark of love itself. For the attitude which you bring to your experience shall make a great deal of difference in that experience. And every moment that you spend attempting to center the self and balance the self, turning always again to that center of love within, each moment is an experience of truth. We realize that this is a concept difficult to work with words, for the emotional content of thankfulness is far greater than words can express. The power of a thankful heart is truly infinite. May your heart have that great benefit of your protection of it, of your nurturing of that spiritual self within that more and more yearns to dance the dance of incarnation with rhythm, grace, and beauty. We move on to a channeling delivered on September 1st, 2002. The question today has to do with the concept of gratitude. We are told by various sources that we should give praise and thanksgiving in all things, whether they be what we think are good or we think are bad. And we would like Quo to give us some information today why this is so effective, why giving praise and thanksgiving in all things seems to produce so much of what we call good, or the feeling of being in the right place at the right time, of being in the flow. We appreciate anything Quo's got to say about giving praise and thanksgiving. We are those known to you as the principle of Quo, and we greet you in the love and in the infinite light of the one infinite Creator. It is in the Creator's service that we find our joy and our employment, and we are extremely grateful to be called to your group by your desire for seeking. We thank each of you so much for the many things that had to be laid aside in order that you could join this circle at this time. It is a great blessing to us to be able to share our opinions with you on this subject of gratitude and thanksgiving. We ask only one thing of you, and that is you carefully employ your own sense of judgment and discrimination as to those things we may offer, for they are our opinion. We are not an authority of any kind, but rather your brothers and sisters. If you will allow us your ability to discriminate, then we feel that we will not infringe upon your free will by those things that we share. We would greatly appreciate that kindness, and we thank each of you for the beauty that you bring to us as we meditate with you and see the wonderful rainbows that each of you carry. It is a great blessing to us to share in these vibrations, to see that each of you, as the one known as H has said, is the master, and at the same time joyfully encased in a shell of flesh and playing the part of the clown and the fool. What is it to be thankful? What is it to give praise? To seek this, we must go a little deeper than zeroing in on that word of praise or thanksgiving or thanks, because the word gratitude or the word thanks does not in and of itself explain the power of the word or the concept that is behind that word. Indeed, in all spiritual realization, the awareness is bounding beyond the ability of words to describe the textures and the depth of the concepts that are moving through the seeking entity. Let us all pull back enough to gaze at each of you as stars or cosmic entities. Each of you, like a star, has an energy. Each of you is capable of radiation. Each of you is capable of being greatly affected by the radiation of other energy fields. It seems within the veil of flesh that each of you is some little pinpoint of consciousness gazing out at a common world. That is, a world held in common by yourself and all those who agree on consensus reality. Whereas, in fact, each of you is the creator of your universe. And as the one known as Jay has said, sometimes it becomes very clear that the universe lies within, that the reality lies within, that all that seems to be out there as this instrument is pushing at the air in front of her body, that out there is that space that is around those fragile, delicate human bodies that you experience at this time. In actuality, this awareness is but a tiny portal upon the awareness which you carry deep within yourself. You carry it as a precious gem. You carry it in rich and fertile soil. You can, through meditation, find those gems of self and ask them to shine for you so that you may see their beauty. For you truly have not simply one, but many of these gems within you, crystallized essences of beingness of various hues and energies that you have, through countless lifetimes, developed and in this particular lifetime have come into a specific and beneficial balance, or shall we say dynamic imbalance, seeking towards balance asymptotically. This is your character. You are the crystal, the light, the energy. That is the deeper aspect of life, rather than being a specific shell, a specific weight, a specific appearance, and all these details that appear to be the most important part of consensus reality. These beings that you are vibrate to the highest truth of which the crystal of your being is allowed to become aware. If the highest truth which you allow yourself is the truth, for instance, of what this instrument would call right and wrong, then you are established to the extent of the truth of that concept in a vibratory nexus, and your spirit will rest within a comfort zone, within those thoughts which identify and specify that which is wrong, that which is right, that which is good, and that which is bad. However, neither that which is right nor that which is wrong tends to create within the energy of an entity that emotion which partakes of what you have called thanksgiving, praise, and gratitude. Rather, it holds one within the spell of this particular density, which is the spell of polarity. It is quite necessary for your environment while you're learning that polarity be displayed in a marvelous amount of detail, that the details of the physical universe be actually infinite, so that one can lose oneself endlessly in the examination of the illusion. However, in truth, the energy which created all things, which binds all things together, which unifies, is an energy that is so far beyond words that it is ineffable, and yet perhaps one of the closest locutions to that emotion is gratitude. We normally greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We do this in a fairly formalized way because we are indicating to ourselves and to each of you what our vibratory energies are. The Logos, which is the one infinite creator's original thought, is that which we call love. And all that is manifested by the energy of this thought, acted upon by free will, we call light. Part of that light is the energy of your body and the organs within your body and the molecules within those organs and the atoms within those molecules. Then, upon a completely other level in the finer bodies, in the energy bodies, that energy is pure and more refined. And what each of you has come here to do is to refine that energy further. Whatever love that you came into this incarnation carrying is a part of the gifts of your previous incarnations, which you harvested for this particular illusion. You hope to add to that store and to further refine and purify your idea of what, who, whose you are. For investigating essence takes one almost instantly beyond the words, and yet this word, gratitude, is so powerful because it carries the vibrations of the Creator. Gratitude is not what it seems. Gratitude is not a thanksgiving for blessings received. At its best, it is a way of being, so that one breathes in thanks and breathes out praise, breathes in that which is and breathes out thank you, not because of any outer detail, but because it is the nature of consciousness to find an overwhelming, ever-flowing cup of beauty and peace. And as one comes into even the shadow of this energy that lies within your hearts, there is an upliftment, And all the energies that had seemed chaotic within the being begin to find a rhythm and pulse in harmony with the environment about you and the thoughts within you, so that all the other finer bodies and the earthly body that is yours and the bodies that are wind and rain and planets all begin to harmonize and to vibrate and to speak to you. And when the universe is speaking to you, then there's always bliss and joy and peace and praise and infinite thanksgiving. The trick of the illusion is to coax one into the seduction of believing that the dynamic dance between dark and the light can be solved by choosing the light or the dark and turning the back upon the other choice. Certainly, a great deal of third density existence, especially in the beginning of that process of learning that we call third density, has to do almost completely with sorting out that which you as a soul feel is positive and that which you as a soul feel is negative. That which is desirable, that which is not preferable. Sorting these dynamics out within the personality doesn't take a great deal of experience for many people, for there are many things that seem fair until they have been utilized and experience has been gained that indicate the failure of that beauty over time and experience. These are the last days of this particular cycle. And each entity that dwells upon this planet at this time has basically chosen its polarity, perhaps not in a way that activates the spiritual progress that can indeed be accelerated, but the experience of each has been rich and decisions have been made concerning the choice of the light or the dark. What we ask you to think about in the context of gratitude is that land which lies beyond polarity, that unification that is very much of higher densities and very much of the fourth density, which is at this time coming so close now to the vibration, which is your so-called consensus reality, that more and more there is a transparency that comes and goes for entities, so that suddenly those truths of fourth density and unconditional love are indeed open to that entity, and that entity feels, understands, and sees as if real the perfection of all things and the beauty of the play of light and dark as the soul spins, evolves, balances, and regularizes in that spiral towards oneness with the one infinite creator. What is gratitude? Gratitude is breathing in and breathing out with the awareness that this act is a gift. Each of you is like a cut flower. You have sprung from the soil of physicality. You have the life of a blossom, and your only responsibility is to blossom, to be, to share that which you are and take in that which all else is exchanging with each other's energy fields. Those dynamics which lie between the two of you. It is easy to give thanks when there are good times, but that is not the heart of Thanksgiving. The heart of Thanksgiving is to see in all things the gift of manifested experience. Oh, how precious that is. Oh, how dear. We cannot convey to you our appreciation of the challenges that you face by being in a physical body and in third density. And yet we say to you that such an adventure calls to us simply because each of you is experiencing within the illusion the 10,000 colors and shapes and forms that are what the Creator knows about itself so far. As each of you takes in the air and gives it back out to the universe, you are singing a song that no one else has ever sung, lifting to the heavens a beauty that has never before been seen. And the Creator knows more now than before because you have been open and vulnerable to experience. And the world and all its experience has been opened and made vulnerable to you. This is the heart of Thanksgiving. The knowing that every breath you take is significant, meaningful, and helpful to the Creator. Truly a gift given and a gift received. We sense that there are other questions, and the one known as Jay has specifically said that she would like to question upon a different subject. Consequently, we would like to thank this instrument for its offering, and we would wish to transfer the contact at this time to the one known as Jim. We leave this instrument in love and in light. We are those of Quo. I am Quo and greet each again in love and in light through this instrument. At this time, it is our privilege to offer ourselves in the attempt to speak to any further queries which those present may have for us. Is there another query at this time? Yes, there is. Hello, Quo. I am the one known as Jay, and I just wanted to tell you that we have golden spiral Milky Way needles, and they're made of gold, iridium, palladium, ruthenium, and rhodium. And as we understand it, all those metals work on different parts of the body. We use them as healing instruments, pulling out energy that isn't necessary and bringing in light. We're very excited, and we wanted to share with you and to get your opinion about our golden spiral needles. Thank you. I am Quo, and we are aware of your query, my sister. We greet you, and we are most happy to attempt to speak to this query. If you will remember that which those of Ra spoke concerning the upward spiraling line of light that is the path all creation takes, then these Milky Way needles may be seen to reflect in a small way this upward spiraling line of light in the healing modality as you attempt to relieve various distortions and imbalances that the human body, mind, and emotions are wont to accumulate from time to time due to the participation in your daily round of activities. You will also remember there is a phase shift, shall we say, a change of energy that is possible when entities move in a certain direction. When placing energy into that direction, which moves at 90 degrees to that direction, traveling at speeds that are in your measurement great in what are called craft of the UFO nature, then it is possible to change dimensions or densities of light with this phase shift. If you combine this information with the upward spiraling line of light, you may see this spiraling line of light as being a continuous phase shift so that there is available to each entity that is seeking the healing from these devices a kind of amplified energy that is able to, shall we say, untangle the knots that are within the mind-body-spirit complex of the entities within this illusion. Another way of looking at these Milky Way needles is to see them as one would see the pyramid energies. The pyramid takes the ever-presented energy of prana, the love of the logos, the intelligent energy that creates all things, and focuses it in such a way, much as the drain in your bathtub focuses the water as it leaves through the drain. Thus, the pyramid and these Milky Way needles tend to focus this upward spiraling line of light energy so that it is available in the healing modality. Is there another query, my sister? Not at this time. Thank you so much for sharing with me. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? Carla. I've got one. I've noticed that two very bright lights have moved to town recently, my friend V and the one known as H. And previous to that, I have very recently met others within this circle that seem to me to be very, very resonant with my own personality. I wondered if there was more than synchronicity involved. Are we of the same soul family? I just feel so much resonance with these people, and the energy change is so sudden it's just noticeable, and I wondered if you could comment on that. I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. Without infringing upon the free will of any present, we may suggest that those present within this circle of seeking, and many others as well, have before incarnational life began made certain arrangements, promises, shall we say, that there would be the effort made at a certain time within the experience of the harvests to give the life's energy and direction to aiding in this harvest. There is always the ability to share the load, shall we say, that those who are of service wish to partake in, for the joy of seeking and seeing and serving the Creator is multiplied many-fold when there are many harvesters, shall we say, working in the same fields. Thus, one may see these entities who have recently joined this circle of seeking and have relocated themselves to this particular geographical area as hearing the sound of the music, shall we say, the music that is the promise made before the incarnation now comes to fruition. Is there a further query, my sister? That's beautiful. Do you have a thought about how we can work together? Because I know H and I, both as group leaders, have real hopes of somehow acting to unite the planet in love and world friendship. Do you have any suggestions for how we might collaborate better together, or what we may support and encourage in each other? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. Again, we wish not to infringe upon free will by suggesting that which has not been chosen already in your free will. However, we may suggest that each entity within this incarnation is able to be of most service by being most authentically who each entity is. Each who has brought certain skills, desires, and talents to this incarnation, and each encourages the other most effectively by encouraging each to be, first of all, to be firmly rooted within the harmony, the love, and the light of the one infinite creator, to be who each has determined before the incarnation each can most effectively be, for each of you is unique. Though each of you is the one creator, each of you has yet another way of shining forth that love and light as a faceted jewel. Thus encourage each other in whatever direction feels most appropriate. Your hearts can tell you the direction. Your meditations can show you your heart. Seek them together, however you can, and light and love shall come from this joined seeking. Light and love, which can heal a wounded planet. We then would suggest that you do as you do seek, share and love together. Is there another query, my sister? No, thank you, Quo. I am Quo, and again, we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? Yes, I have one. My name is R. With all the earth changes that are happening, the dynamics that are happening with the people that are on this planet at this time, the rage that they're feeling, what is your suggestion to help balance that out towards a smoother experience? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We are aware that there are those within this group and within many other groups as well who take time each day to meditate and pray and to send love and healing energy to all who are in pain, to open their own hearts to the healing love and light of the one creator, to send that energy to Mother Earth herself for her healing as she brings forth a new earth into fourth density, to send that love and light to each entity upon the planet which feels pain, which feels weariness, which feels the sickness and hate and disappointment and disease and all those other various ailments which can take the attention and turn the mind to darker thoughts and ways of sharing that do not open the heart but close it. We would suggest that whenever it is possible, upon a regular basis, that you take time to pray, to meditate, and to send love and light to all who need it. Is there another query, my sister? Yeah, that's a lot going on in the positive, but the rage among the people is really amplified. Where's that amplification coming from? Is it just for clarification? It seems like it's more than that. I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. As we mentioned previously, this is the time of harvest, the time of the change of cycles for not only each entity upon this planet, but for the planet itself. For all move in the upward spiraling line of light, as if in accordance with the hands of a clock striking the hour of change. The time grows short. There is much work yet to do. This planet has for many of your millennia suffered the difficulties of factions warring one against the other. This anger of war and bellicose action has seeped as heat into the crust of the planet. Heat which must be released. Each entity, as well as the planet itself, is therefore asked, in the spiritual sense, to take a larger share of the ability to transmute this heat and anger. Those who have no firm foundation of spiritual seeking or outlet of sharing in a metaphysical manner take this extra energy and transfer it as anger. Thus, those who are aware of the change occurring upon the planetary and cosmic level, which reaches into each individual heart, do well to see in their meditations and their prayers hearts that begin to open, minds that begin to open, arms that begin to open, so that there is acceptance and love, compassion and forgiveness. In place of competition and anger, confusion and ignorance. Therefore, we recommend most heartily that the prayers and visualizations be added to your meditations in order to aid other entities in the attempt to open their hearts, which is the purpose for each entity here on the planet at this time. Some are more, shall we say, effective, more able to do this than others. Those who are able to open their hearts first, then teach others by example and in their meditations. Is there a further query, my sister? I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister, for your query. As the queries appear to have been satisfied for the nonce, we would take this opportunity to once again thank each for joining this circle of seeking this day. We are aware that each sacrifices much in order to make the time and space in the daily round of activities available for such a gathering. It is always a great joy to be asked to join you here. And we would remind each that in your own private meditations, we would be happy to join you there as a conditioning vibration to help deepen your state of meditation. A simple request is all that is necessary, and we shall join you there. At this time, then, we shall take our leave of this instrument and this group. We leave each in the love and in the ineffable light of the one infinite Creator. We are known to you as those of Quo. Adonai, my friends. Adonai. And this concludes these channelings on gratitude. I found it so emotional and powerful to speak on such a simple subject. And the idea is not that you need to create gratitude in you. It's not that you need to sit and be grateful. This is a natural outpouring of your connection to the Creator. And as you align yourself more and more in polarity to the positive, to the light of what you're doing in service, the gratitude naturally comes. This gratitude comes, you feel this joy and gratitude the more and more you're aligned to it. It's not something that you need to sit and do. It's something that will naturally occur on your path. Obviously, the word gratitude is just a word, and there's no way to truly describe it, but it is the essence of being. And when you are in that state of gratitude, you're in that state of purity with the Creator. That is the Creator. The Creator is in a state of thankfulness and gratitude at all times. And when you align to that feeling, you are aligned with the Creator. As Quo says, it is a breathing in and breathing out with the awareness that this act is a gift. Each of us are like a flower. We have sprung from the soil of physicality, and we have the life of a blossom, and it's only our responsibility to just blossom, to be. And when we are in that blossoming state, we are in a state of gratitude. Now, you don't have to be grateful for something that has happened to you. You don't need to be grateful for something that will happen to you. You just need to be grateful. That's the purity of true thankfulness and gratefulness. That is where it's at. There's a lot of interesting discussion of energy fields that are sort of slipped in to this discussion, and it does resonate with me, because when you are grateful, you're raising your energy, and it affects your energy field and those energy fields around you. You will only attract and transmit gratitude, and it will bring grateful and wonderful people into your life. Gratitude is the vibrational signature of the thing that you wish to experience, of the service that you wish to perform. And when you tune into that gratitude, you are tuning in to the wish fulfilled, to the life fulfilled, to the love of the Creator, because love is gratitude. That's the feeling of love. So I have tremendous gratitude for you. You know how awesome it is for me to be able to read these words to you, to share this time with you on this wonderful, glorious Sunday, which is the day I usually post these videos. I don't know what day you're listening to it, but I am so grateful to be able to do this, to use my voice as service for you. And I am grateful to know you. I'm grateful for all of you. You are all God's, and I am honored and grateful just to be in your company. And I am grateful to continue doing this. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'm sending love and light to everyone that's listening. And welcome to the Reality Revolution.